The massive station floated in the darkness of space like a silver jewel. Apex Prime was the biggest neutral meeting place in the known galaxy. Today, it hosted representatives from 47 different alien species. They came for one reason. The Ravager horde was destroying everything in its path. Ambassador Tae-young walked through the long corridor toward the council chamber. His black suit was simple compared to the colorful robes and armor of the other delegates. He carried a single data pad under his arm. Behind him, 2 human aides followed quietly. They looked nervous. Tae-young did not. The chamber doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was enormous. Seats rose in circular tiers around a central speaking platform. Alien beings of every shape and size filled those seats. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated in anti-gravity fields. Others breathed different atmospheres through specialized helmets. Tae-young took his seat in the human section. It was smaller than most. Humanity was still new to galactic politics. They had only joined the council 20 years ago. Many of the older species still saw them as children playing at diplomacy. The session began with reports. Each species detailed their losses to the Ravager horde. The numbers were staggering. 12 colony worlds destroyed, millions dead. The Ravagers consumed everything organic, leaving only dead rocks behind. General Vextar of the Krathan species stood to speak. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with dark red skin and 4 powerful arms. His species were famous warriors. They had fought in every major galactic conflict for the past 1,000 years. "We must attack." Vextar's voice boomed through the chamber. "We gather our fleets and strike at the Horde's heart. We show them the strength of the Galactic Council." Cheers erupted from many sections. The warrior species agreed. They beat their fists, claws, and appendages against their seats. Tae-young raised his hand to speak. The chamber fell silent, mostly out of curiosity. Humans rarely spoke during these sessions. "Ambassador Tae-young of Earth," the council chairman announced. Tae-young stood and walked to the central platform. His movements were calm and measured. He placed his data pad on the podium and looked around the chamber. "Thank you, Chairman," he began. "Earth has reviewed the tactical situation. We propose a different strategy." He activated a holographic display. Stars and planets appeared above the platform, showing the region threatened by the Ravagers. "We suggest fortified defensive positions here, here, and here." Tae-young pointed to 3 star systems. "We evacuate endangered colonies in advance. We establish supply lines for a long campaign. We coordinate our forces for maximum efficiency with minimal casualties." The chamber was quiet. Then someone laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. General Vextar stood again, his forearms crossed over his broad chest. "Fortifications? Evacuations? This is the human plan?" "It saves lives," Tae-young replied evenly. "It gives us time to understand the enemy better." "It is cowardice," Vextar spat the words like poison. "Humanity wishes to hide behind walls while braver species fight and die." More voices joined in. A delegate from the insectoid Chitauri species clicked its mandibles in what might have been agreement. A crystalline luminar representative's surface flickered with colors that indicated disapproval. "Earth has no warriors," another general called out. This one was from the Reptilian Saurian Confederation. "They only have bureaucrats and diplomats. They talk but never fight." "Humans are soft," a third voice added. "Their world is easy. They know nothing of true war." The insults continued. Species that had never agreed on anything suddenly united in mocking humanity. Tae-young stood at the podium, his expression unchanged. His aides looked uncomfortable, but he raised a hand slightly, telling them to remain calm. General Vextar descended from his seat and walked toward the platform. He towered over Tae-young, using his size to intimidate. "I have fought in 32 campaigns," Vextar growled. "I have led armies across burning worlds. And you human want to teach me about war?" Tae-young looked up at the massive alien without flinching. "I want to save lives. That is what I was sent here to do." "Then you are in the wrong place," Vextar said. "This council needs warriors, not clerks hiding behind carefully chosen words." "You mistake caution for cowardice." Tae-young's voice remained level, but there was something new in his tone. Something harder. "That is a dangerous error, is it?" Vextar leaned closer. "Then prove me wrong, human. Show us these warriors you claim to have. Or admit that Earth breeds only cowards." The chamber fell completely silent. Every delegate watched the confrontation. What Vextar had just done was significant. He had formally challenged humanity's honor before the entire Galactic Council. Tae-young was quiet for a long moment. His mind raced through possibilities and consequences. He could decline. He could call for a recess. He could attempt more diplomatic language. Instead, he made a decision that would change everything. "Very well," Tae-young said clearly. "You wish to see what humanity sends to war. Make your challenge formal and I will accept it." Vextar's eyes widened slightly. He had not expected this response. The other generals exchanged glances. The Krathan general had meant to humiliate the humans into silence. Now he was being called out. "I make it formal," Vextar announced loudly. "I challenge Earth to send their finest warriors to lead the vanguard against the Ravager horde. If they refuse, or if their warriors fail, humanity will be declared cowards before this entire council. Their voice here will mean nothing." The chairman looked uncomfortable. "Ambassador Tae-young, you are not required to accept this challenge. It is aggressive and unnecessary." "I accept," Tae-young said immediately. "Earth will send warriors to the vanguard. You will see what humans are capable of when pushed." He paused, and for the first time his expression changed. A slight smile crossed his face, but it was not friendly. It was the smile of someone who knows something others do not. "But I offer you a warning, General Vextar, and to this council." Tae-young continued. "Legends exist for a reason. Earth has legends too. They are not sung as songs or told as entertainment. They are classified. They are sealed away. They are kept quiet because they are not boasts. They are warnings." "I do not fear human legends," Vextar said dismissively. "You should," Tae-young replied quietly. "You asked for warriors. What you will receive are weapons. And when you see them, you will understand why we preferred diplomacy." The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. What did the human mean? What kind of warriors was Earth hiding? Tae-young gathered his datapad and walked toward the exit. His aides scrambled to follow. As he reached the doors, he turned back one final time. "The message will be sent to Earth immediately," he announced. "You will have your warriors within 1 week. Prepare yourselves." The doors closed behind him. In the chamber, the mood had shifted. The mockery was gone, replaced by uncertainty. General Vextar returned to his seat, but he looked less confident now. Something in the human's tone had been unsettling. A Luminar delegate's surface flickered in patterns of concern. "What have we done?" it asked quietly. "We called them cowards," another delegate replied, "and they accepted the challenge." "Nothing more?" "No," the Luminar said. Its crystalline body pulsing with worried colors. "It is more than that." "Did you hear his words? Did you see his expression? We did not challenge them. We released them." Outside the chamber, Tae-young walked quickly toward the human quarters. His aides caught up, both speaking at once. "Sir, are you certain about this? Earth Command will need to approve." "They will approve," Tae-young cut them off. "They have been waiting for an excuse. The other species see us as weak. It is time to correct that misconception." "But who will they send?" Tae-young stopped walking. He looked at his aides with an expression they had never seen before. It was sympathy mixed with certainty. "They will send the ones they always send when there is no other choice," he said softly. "And when those two arrive, the galaxy will remember why Earth kept them secret." The message reached Earth within hours. It traveled through quantum communication networks, jumping across light years in seconds. It arrived at Geneva at the United Earth Defense Command headquarters in the middle of the night. General Park sat in his office reading the message for the third time. His face showed no emotion, but his fingers drummed slowly on the desk. Around him, 4 other high-ranking officers waited in silence. "They called us cowards," Admiral Chen said finally. She was the oldest person in the room, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen 3 colonial wars. "They always do," Colonel Wright replied. He was from the North American sector, a career soldier who had spent 20 years fighting pirate raids on the outer colonies. "New species think we are soft because we choose peace." "We are soft," General Park said quietly. Everyone looked at him. "Compared to species that evolved fighting each other for millions of years, we are softer. We prefer negotiation. We avoid conflict when possible." "This is true, but," Admiral Chen prompted. "But soft does not mean weak," Park finished. He stood and walked to the window. Outside, the lights of Geneva sparkled in the darkness. "And when we must fight, we fight differently than they expect." "The Galactic Council demanded our finest warriors," Colonel Wright said. "Do we send a battalion? A special forces unit?" "No," Park said immediately. We send exactly what Ambassador Tae-young promised them. We send warriors who will make them understand their mistake. A younger officer, Captain Rodriguez, spoke up. Sir, with respect, every species out there has been fighting for centuries. The Krathen live for battle. The Chitauri have warrior castes bred specifically for combat. What can we send that will impress them? General Park turned from the window. His expression was hard. We send the ones we do not talk about, he said. The ones we keep classified. The ones who remind us what humans were before we reached the stars. Admiral Chen understood immediately. Her eyes widened. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious. They have been retired for 3 years, she protested. We let them go specifically because keeping them active was considered too dangerous. Too dangerous for peacetime, Park corrected. But the Council has asked for war. They will get exactly what war requires. He walked to his desk and entered a code into his computer. A holographic display appeared showing 2 files. Both were marked with the highest security classification. Both had red warning labels attached. Corporal Hyunwoo, Park read from the first file. 12 years of service. Specialized in deep reconnaissance and close-quarters combat. 47 confirmed solo missions behind enemy lines. 0 failures. Retired 3 years ago after the Titan Colony incident. The Titan Colony incident was classified beyond our clearance, Captain Rodriguez said nervously. It stays that way, Park replied. He moved to the second file. Lieutenant Ji-won, 10 years of service. Specialized in tactical infiltration and precision elimination. 33 successful missions in hostile territory. Also retired after the Titan incident. Both were deemed too effective for standard military operations. Colonel Wright frowned. Too effective? What does that mean? Admiral Chen answered. It means they scared our own people. It means when they worked together there was nothing they could not accomplish. And it means the things they did even in service of Earth were things we preferred not to think about. Where are they now? Captain Rodriguez asked. General Park closed the files. Hyunwoo is at a monastery in the Taebaek Mountains. He went there after his discharge. He speaks to almost no one. Ji-won is in the Arctic, running a small survival training program for civilians. She volunteered for the most remote posting possible. They do not want to be soldiers anymore, Admiral Chen observed. No, Park agreed. They do not. But they are the answer to the Council's challenge. They are what we send when diplomacy fails. Will they accept the mission? Wright asked. Park smiled, but it was not a happy smile. They will. Not because they want to fight, but because they understand what will happen if we send anyone else. They know the cost of failure. They will come because they are the only ones who can guarantee success. He pressed a button on his desk. Send retrieval teams to both locations immediately. Priority Alpha clearance. Bring them to Geneva within 48 hours. The orders were sent. In the Taebaek Mountains of Korea, a military helicopter lifted off, carrying a retrieval team toward an ancient monastery. In the Arctic Circle, a transport plane battled through a snowstorm toward a tiny research station. 2 days later, Corporal Hyunwoo stood in General Park's office. He looked different from his military photos. Thinner, with longer hair and a short beard. He wore simple civilian clothes, a dark shirt and pants. But his eyes were the same. Alert. Calculating. Missing nothing. Corporal. General Park greeted him. Just Hyunwoo now, the man replied quietly. His voice was soft, almost gentle. I am not in the military anymore, I know. I am sorry to bring you back. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. The message said it was necessary. It is. The Galactic Council has challenged Earth. They called us cowards. They demand we send warriors to fight the Ravager horde. And you need someone who knows how to kill things that do not die easily, Hyunwoo said flatly. Park was not surprised by the directness. Hyunwoo had never been good at small talk or diplomacy. He saw the world in simple terms, threats and solutions. Yes, Park admitted. We need someone who can show the alien species that humanity is not weak. We need someone who will make them afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of us. Afraid of what humans can do when we stop being civilized. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. He walked to the window and looked out at the city, just as Park had done 2 days before. I left because I was tired of being that person, Hyunwoo said finally. I went to the mountains to learn how to be peaceful again. To forget the things I had done, I know, and I would not ask if there was another way. There is always another way, Hyunwoo replied. But then he sighed. But not one that works as well. Not one that keeps other people alive. He turned back to face the general. Who else are you sending? Lieutenant Ji-won arrives in 1 hour. For the first time, Hyunwoo showed emotion. His eyes widened slightly. Ji-won, you are sending both of us? The council wants our finest warriors. They will get exactly that. Hyunwoo laughed, but it was a bitter sound. They have no idea what they asked for. No, Park agreed. They do not. 1 hour later, Lieutenant Ji-won entered the office. She was smaller than Hyunwoo, with short black hair and a slim build. She wore Arctic weather gear and carried a single backpack. When she saw Hyunwoo, she stopped. They called you too, she said. It was not a question. Yes. The Titan team back together. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Someone must be very desperate. General Park gestured for her to sit. She did, moving with a fluid grace that suggested perfect body control. Every motion was efficient, wasting no energy. I will be direct, Park said. The Galactic Council has issued a formal challenge. They want Earth to send warriors to fight the Ravager Horde. They expect us to fail or refuse. Instead, we are sending you. 2 people? Ji-won asked. Against an alien horde? You have done more with less. That was different. We were fighting humans who made human mistakes. These are aliens with alien biology and alien tactics. Then you will adapt, Park said simply. You always do. Ji-won looked at Hyunwoo. They did not speak, but something passed between them. Some silent communication built from years of working together. What are the rules of engagement? Hyunwoo asked. There are none, Park replied. You are authorized to use any methods necessary. Win by any means available. The only objective is to prove that humanity is not weak. You want us to scare them, Ji-won said. I want you to make them regret their challenge. Ji-won nodded slowly. We can do that. General Park opened a secure drawer and pulled out 2 small items. They were military badges, simple pieces of metal with Earth's symbol engraved on them. These are reactivation badges, he explained. By accepting them, you return to active duty. You will be under Earth Defense Command authority until the mission is complete. Hyunwoo took his badge without hesitation. Ji-won held hers for a moment, staring at it. I told myself I would never wear one again, she said softly. I know. She pinned it to her jacket. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. A ship is being prepared. You will be transported to the staging area at Threshold 7, where the Galactic Council forces are gathering. Equipment? Hyunwoo asked. Standard combat loadout. Weapons, armor, supplies. Nothing special. We want you to appear as normal soldiers. Until we are not, Ji-won finished. Exactly. The 2 soldiers stood to leave. At the door, Hyunwoo paused. General, when this is over, we go back to our lives. No more missions. No more calls. This is the last time, Park nodded. You have my word. After they left, Admiral Chen entered the office through a side door. You lied to them, she said quietly. About what? About letting them go after this mission. You know as well as I do that once the galaxy sees what they can do, there will be more demands, more challenges, more reasons to call them back. General Park looked tired suddenly. Old, I know, he admitted, but I needed them to accept. And perhaps if they succeed well enough, no one will dare challenge us again. Perhaps this one mission will buy them the peace they deserve. The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder that ran through its entire frame. Through the viewport, Threshold 7 came into view. It was a border world, mostly desert with a few small oceans. The planet itself was not important. What mattered was its location, exactly on the edge of Ravager territory. Hyunwoo stood at the viewport watching the planet grow larger. He wore standard Earth Defense Force combat armor, gray and black with minimal markings. His weapons were simple, a rifle, a sidearm, and a combat knife. Everything else he needed was in a small pack on his back. Ji-won sat nearby, checking her equipment for the 5th time. Her armor was identical to Hyunwoo's, but she carried more technical gear. Scanning devices, remote sensors, and precision tools. Her weapons were lighter, built for accuracy rather than raw power. We will land in 10 minutes, the ship's pilot announced over the intercom. He was a young officer who had barely spoken to them during the entire journey. Orders from above. Leave the special soldiers alone. The staging area is huge, Ji-won said, looking at a tactical display. 60,000 alien soldiers from 30 different species. They have been gathering for 2 weeks. They are waiting for us, Yunwoo observed. They are waiting to watch us fail. Then we will not fail. Jiwon smiled slightly. You make it sound simple. It is simple. We complete the mission. We survive. We go home. The last part might be harder than you think. The ship descended through the atmosphere. The landing zone was enormous, covering several square kilometers. Hundreds of alien ships were parked in organized rows. Temporary structures dotted the landscape. Command centers, supply depots, medical facilities, and barracks. And everywhere, alien soldiers. The ship touched down with a gentle thump. The rear ramp lowered, letting in the hot, dry air of Threshold 7. Hyunwoo and Jiwon grabbed their gear and walked down the ramp. The moment they appeared, activity around them stopped. Alien soldiers paused what they were doing to stare. The two humans walked across the landing pad, their boots crunching on the dusty ground. They were surrounded by beings that towered over them. Krathan warriors stood 3 meters tall with dark red skin and multiple arms. Chitauri soldiers scuttled on insectoid legs, their compound eyes reflecting the harsh sunlight. Saurians moved in groups, their scaled bodies bristling with natural armor. Yunwoo and Jiwon looked tiny by comparison, fragile, weak. A group of Krathan warriors nearby started laughing. It was a harsh barking sound. Look at the humans, one said in the common galactic language. Earth sends 2 children to war. They will die within an hour, another agreed. Assuming they even reach the battle, a third added. They look like they might break if I breathe on them too hard. Jiwon glanced at Hyunwoo. He showed no reaction, his face calm and expressionless. They continued walking toward the main command center, a large structure in the center of the camp. Before they could reach it, a massive figure stepped into their path. General Vextar stood before them, his forearms crossed over his broad chest. Behind him, a dozen Krathan officers formed an intimidating wall of muscle and armor. So, Vextar's voice rumbled, Earth finally sends its warriors. He looked down at the two humans, his expression showing clear disappointment. This is an insult, he continued. I challenge an entire planet and they send 2 soldiers? 2? Yunwoo met his gaze without flinching. You called us cowards. We are here to correct that mistake. You will correct me? Vextar leaned down, bringing his face close to Hyunwoo's. I have fought in wars that lasted longer than your entire species has known about space travel. I have killed enemies with my bare hands. What have you done, little human? That is classified, Hyunwoo replied quietly. Vextar straightened up and laughed. Several of his officers joined in. Classified. He says his achievements are classified. Vextar turned to his officers. Perhaps he is classified because he has no achievements to speak of. Jiwon stepped forward slightly. General, we are here as requested by the Galactic Council. We will complete our mission. Where would you like us to report? Report? Vextar's eyes gleamed with malicious amusement. Oh, I have a perfect assignment for Earth's finest warriors. There is a reconnaissance mission scheduled for tomorrow morning. Deep into Ravager territory, 50 kilometers beyond our defensive line. The previous 3 teams we sent did not return. Sounds appropriate, Jiwon said calmly. I am not finished, Vextar continued. You will be accompanied by a squad of my best Krathan warriors. 12 of them. They will supervise your mission and ensure you do not embarrass your species more than you already have. Babysitters, Hyunwoo said flatly. Insurance, Vextar corrected. To make certain you do not run away the moment you encounter actual danger. We accept, Hyunwoo said before Jiwon could respond. Vextar looked surprised. He had expected them to refuse or at least protest. Instead, the male human had accepted immediately, without fear or hesitation. Very well, the general said after a moment. Report to staging area 7 at dawn. My warriors will meet you there. Try not to die before the mission even begins. He stepped aside, gesturing mockingly for them to pass. Hyunwoo and Jiwon walked by without another word. Behind them, they heard more laughter from the Krathan officers. They do not respect us, Jiwon said quietly once they were out of earshot. No, Hyunwoo agreed. They do not. That will change. Yes, it will. They found their assigned quarters in a temporary structure near the edge of the camp. It was small and basic, 2 bunks, a table, and a storage locker. Compared to the lavish accommodations given to species like the Krathan, It was almost insulting. Ji-won dropped her gear on one of the bunks and sat down. Tomorrow will be interesting. Tomorrow will be bloody, Hyun-woo corrected. He was already unpacking his equipment, checking each item carefully. The Ravagers are not like anything we have fought before. We need to be ready. Have you reviewed the intelligence files? Yes, the Ravagers are biomechanical. Part organic, part machine. They operate in swarms controlled by a hive intelligence. Individual units are dangerous but predictable. The real threat is when they coordinate. Ji-won nodded. Standard tactics will not work against them. The Krathen probably try to overwhelm them with force. That is why they keep losing. We will need a different approach, we always do. That evening they left their quarters to scout the camp. They moved separately, trying not to draw attention. Hyun-woo observed the alien soldiers, watching how they moved, how they interacted, how they prepared for battle. Ji-won studied the equipment and technology, noting differences between species and identifying potential advantages. They met again after dark, comparing observations. The Krathen are strong but loud, Hyun-woo reported. They prefer direct combat. No subtlety. The Chitauri are fast and coordinated, Ji-won added, but they rely on their swarm tactics. Separate them and they become confused. The Saurians are disciplined but rigid. They follow orders precisely, which makes them predictable. None of them are trained for the kind of fighting we do, Ji-won concluded. No, they are not. Around them, the camp settled into nighttime routines. Alien soldiers gathered around fires and heating units, sharing food and stories. Some sang battle songs in languages Hyun-woo and Ji-won did not understand. Others maintained their weapons or conducted religious rituals. Everywhere the humans saw the same thing: confidence. These alien soldiers believed they were superior warriors. They believed the Ravager horde could be defeated through strength and courage alone. Near one of the larger fires, a group of Krathen soldiers noticed the two humans walking by. One of them called out, "The Earth Warriors, come join us." It was not a friendly invitation. It was a challenge. Hyun-woo considered ignoring it, but Ji-won touched his arm slightly. "We should go," she said quietly. "Learn about them." They approached the fire. The Krathen soldiers made room, but only barely. 10 massive warriors surrounded them, each one capable of tearing a human apart with their bare hands. "Tell us, humans," one Krathen said. "What wars have you fought? What enemies have you killed?" "That information is classified," Hyun-woo replied. The Krathen laughed. "Always classified. I think the truth is that humans have never fought any real wars. You have had a few skirmishes with pirates and rebels. Nothing serious. We have fought wars," Ji-won said calmly. "Just not against aliens. Against each other." Another Krathen looked surprised. "You fight your own kind." "We did. For thousands of years. And now? Now we are unified. We learned better ways to solve our problems." "How boring," the first Krathen said. "War is what makes a species strong. Without enemies to fight, you become soft." Hyun-woo said nothing. He had learned long ago that some arguments were not worth having. These soldiers would believe what they wanted to believe. "Tomorrow you will see real combat," another Krathen continued. "You will understand what it means to face a true enemy. Perhaps you will learn courage from watching us." "Perhaps," Ji-won replied neutrally. They stayed for a few more minutes, listening to the Krathen warriors boast about their previous battles and victories. Finally, they excused themselves and returned to their quarters. "They think we are harmless," Ji-won observed. "Let them think that. It makes our job easier. Tomorrow, when the fighting starts, they will see what we really are." "Yes," Hyun-woo agreed. The transport vehicle ground to a halt at the edge of a rocky canyon. The rear door opened and harsh sunlight flooded the interior. Krath, the Krathen squad leader, stood and gestured for everyone to disembark. "From here we walk," he announced. "The insertion point is 3 kilometers ahead. Stay alert, stay together, and try not to slow us down." The last comment was directed at Hyun-woo and Ji-won. The 12 Krathen warriors filed out of the transport, each one checking their weapons. They carried massive rifles that looked more like small cannons. Their armor was thick and covered with battle scars from previous conflicts. Hyun-woo and Ji-won followed, their own equipment looking almost minimal by comparison. The two humans each carried a single rifle, a sidearm, and a combat knife. No heavy armor, no overwhelming firepower, just efficiency and precision. "We move in standard formation," Krath instructed. "Warriors at the front and rear. The humans will stay in the middle where we can protect them. Hyunwoo wanted to object, but Ji-won touched his arm slightly. A silent message. Let them underestimate us. The group began moving through the canyon. The terrain was rough and rocky with sharp cliffs on either side. The Kraithen moved with surprising speed despite their size, their powerful legs carrying them over obstacles that would challenge most species. Hyunwoo and Ji-won matched their pace easily. Both humans were in excellent physical condition, trained for endurance and speed. They moved quietly, wasting no energy, keeping their breathing controlled. After 30 minutes, Krath called a brief halt. He consulted a tactical display on his forearm. We are approaching the boundary, he said. Beyond this point, we enter Ravager territory. Expect contact at any moment, he looked at the two humans. If you need to turn back, now is the time. No one will blame you for lacking courage. We continue, Hyunwoo said simply. Krath grunted, disappointed by the answer. He had hoped the humans would retreat, giving him a clear story to tell about their cowardice. Instead, they stood ready, their expressions calm and focused. The group moved forward again. The canyon narrowed, forcing them into a tighter formation. The walls on either side rose higher, blocking out most of the sunlight. Shadows deepened. Hyunwoo's eyes swept the terrain constantly. He noticed things the Kraithen missed. Small disturbances in the dust, scrape marks on the rocks, patterns that suggested movement. Something had passed through here recently, something large. He caught Ji-won's attention and made a small hand signal. She nodded, having seen the same signs. Both humans slowed slightly, increasing the distance between themselves and the Kraithen in front of them. What are you doing? Krath demanded, noticing they had fallen behind. Keep up. Something is wrong, Hyunwoo said quietly. Nothing is wrong except your slow pace. The tracks, Ji-won pointed at the ground. Fresh disturbances. Multiple entities, large ones. Krath looked where she indicated but saw nothing unusual. You are imagining things. The Ravagers do not leave tracks like animals. These do, Hyunwoo insisted. We should proceed with more caution. We are Kraithen warriors. Krath's voice rose. We do not sneak around like frightened prey. We march forward with strength and honor. His words echoed through the narrow canyon. The sound bounced off the walls, carrying far into the distance. Hyunwoo closed his eyes briefly, controlling his frustration. The Kraithen had just announced their presence to everything within a kilometer. For 5 seconds, nothing happened. Then the rocks above them began to move. What Hyunwoo had thought were shadows suddenly became creatures. They emerged from crevices and behind boulders, their bodies blending perfectly with the stone. Ravagers, dozens of them. They were horrible to look at. Each one was roughly the size of a large dog, but their bodies were wrong. Part insect, part machine, with too many legs and segments that clicked and whirred mechanically. Their heads were elongated with multiple eyes that glowed with a sickly yellow light. Where organic parts met mechanical components, there was no smooth transition, just twisted fusion of flesh and metal. Contact. One of the Kraithen warriors shouted. The Ravagers attacked from above and from the sides. They moved with terrifying speed, their mechanical legs carrying them down the canyon walls in defiance of gravity. Screeching sounds filled the air, partly organic screams and partly mechanical static. The Kraithen immediately formed a defensive circle, just as their training dictated. They opened fire with their heavy weapons. The canyon became a thunderous chaos of explosions and energy blasts. Several Ravagers fell, their bodies torn apart by Kraithen firepower. But more kept coming. They swarmed from every direction, overwhelming the defensive position through sheer numbers. In the middle of the chaos, Hyunwoo and Ji-won simply disappeared. One moment they were standing with the group. The next moment they were gone. The Kraithen did not notice. They were too focused on the creatures attacking them from the front. Hyunwoo moved along the canyon wall, using shadows and rock formations for cover. His rifle remained on his back. Instead, he had drawn his combat knife. The blade was simple, 30 centimeters of high-carbon steel, perfectly balanced. A Ravager scuttled down the wall toward him. Its multiple eyes locked onto his position. It lunged, mechanical mandibles opening to reveal organic teeth inside. Hyunwoo sidestepped with minimal movement. His knife flashed once. The Ravager fell past him, its vital circuits severed. It crashed to the ground and stopped moving. He continued forward, flowing through the battlefield like smoke. 3 more Ravagers detected him and attacked. He killed all 3 in less than 5 seconds. No wasted motion. No unnecessary force, just precise strikes to critical points where organic met mechanical. Above, Jiwan had climbed to a higher position. She crouched on a narrow ledge, her rifle now in her hands. But she was not firing randomly into the swarm. Instead, she was calculating. She watched the Ravagers' movement patterns. She identified the spaces between them. She measured angles and distances. Then she fired. Her first shot struck a Ravager in the center of its mass. The bullet was designed to fragment on impact. Pieces of the round ricocheted inside the creature's body, then exited at angles, striking 2 more Ravagers behind it. Her second shot hit a mechanical component that exploded, sending shrapnel into a cluster of 3 more creatures. Each of her bullets killed multiple targets. It was not luck. It was mathematics and physics applied with perfect precision. In the center of the canyon, the Krathen continued fighting valiantly. They stood back to back, their heavy weapons thundering. They were strong, brave, and skilled. But they were also losing. There were simply too many Ravagers. For everyone they killed, 2 more appeared. The defensive circle grew smaller as the warriors were forced inward. Several Krathen were injured, their armor breached by mechanical claws and organic teeth. Krath fought at the front, his forearms wielding both his rifle and a massive combat axe. He killed Ravagers with each swing, his battle rage making him stronger. But even he could see they were about to be overwhelmed. "Fall back," he ordered. "Fighting retreat, move!" But there was nowhere to retreat to. The Ravagers had surrounded them completely. Then something strange happened. The Ravagers at the rear of the swarm began dying. Not from Krathen weapons. They simply stopped moving and fell. One after another they collapsed as if cut down by an invisible force. Krath risked a glance backward. Through the dust and chaos he saw Hyunwoo. The human moved through the Ravager swarm like a ghost, his knife rising and falling with mechanical regularity. Every strike killed. Every movement was efficient. There was no rage in his actions, no fear, no hesitation, just clinical execution. On the opposite side, Ravagers fell to precise rifle fire from positions that seemed impossible to shoot from. Jiwan had moved 3 times, always staying ahead of the creatures trying to reach her, always finding the perfect angle for maximum damage. The tide of battle shifted. With the Ravagers' attention divided and their numbers thinning, the Krathen pushed back. Krath rallied his warriors and they advanced, firing in controlled bursts. Within 3 minutes it was over. 72 Ravager corpses lay scattered across the canyon floor and walls. The last few survivors retreated into crevices, disappearing as mysteriously as they had appeared. The Krathen stood in the sudden silence, breathing heavily. Several were wounded, but none seriously. They had survived an encounter that had killed previous teams. Hyunwoo emerged from the shadows, cleaning his knife on a piece of cloth. His armor showed some scratches, but no damage. Jiwan descended from her elevated position, landing lightly beside him. Krath stared at them. His mouth opened, but no words came out. His warriors looked equally shocked. "What?" Krath finally managed. "What was that?" "Combat," Hyunwoo replied simply. You moved through them like they were nothing. They were predictable. Biological components make them vulnerable to certain strikes. Mechanical components can be disabled if you know where to hit them. But you killed dozens. Just the 2 of you. Jiwan reloaded her rifle calmly. "We did what was necessary. The mission continues, yes?" Krath looked at his warriors. They looked back at him with confused expressions. Everything they had believed about humans was suddenly in question. "You did not fight like soldiers," Krath said slowly. "You fought like what?" Jiwan asked. "I do not have words in your language." Inkrat. The transport vehicle rolled back into the main camp as the sun began to set. Word of their return had already spread. Hundreds of alien soldiers gathered near the staging area, waiting to see the reconnaissance team. Many expected to see Krathen warriors carrying the bodies of the foolish humans who had volunteered for a suicide mission. Instead, the entire team emerged alive. More than that, they looked successful. They carried data chips filled with intelligence about the Ravager nest. Krath stepped out first, his armor scarred and damaged from combat. His warriors followed, looking tired but unharmed. Then came Hyunwoo and Jiwan, appearing as calm as when they had left that morning. General Vextar pushed through the crowd, his expression unreadable. "Krath," he addressed his subordinate. "Report." Krath stood at attention. Mission successful, General. We penetrated 50 kilometers into Ravager territory. We located and documented a major nest. We obtained detailed scans and tactical intelligence. Vextar's eyes narrowed. And the humans? The humans, Krath hesitated, choosing his words carefully. The humans performed adequately. It was the understatement of the century. Several of Krath's warriors made small sounds of disagreement, but they remained silent under their commander's stern gaze. Adequately, Vextar repeated. He did not sound convinced. You encountered no combat? We encountered significant combat, General. We were ambushed by a Ravager swarm, estimated 70 units. The engagement lasted approximately 5 minutes. Murmurs ran through the watching crowd. 70 Ravagers was enough to overwhelm most small teams. The fact that everyone survived was remarkable. How many casualties? Vextar asked. None, General. Several minor injuries. No deaths. The murmurs grew louder. This was unexpected. Previous reconnaissance missions had suffered heavy losses, even with larger teams. Vextar looked at the two humans. And what did you two do during this engagement? Hide behind my warriors? Before Hyunwoo or Jiwon could respond, one of Krath's warriors stepped forward. His name was Vexthor, a young soldier who had seen combat only twice before. General, permission to speak freely? Vextar looked annoyed but nodded. Granted. The humans did not hide, sir. Vexthor struggled to find words. They killed most of the Ravagers. Perhaps 50 or 60. Just the two of them. Silence fell over the crowd. Vextar's expression darkened. You are exaggerating, he said flatly. No, sir. I watched them. We all did. Vexthor looked at his fellow warriors who nodded in agreement. The male human moved through the swarm like smoke. I saw him kill 7 Ravagers in less than 10 seconds. With a knife, sir. Just a knife. And the female? Vextar asked, his tone dangerous. She shot from elevated positions. Each bullet killed multiple targets. I do not understand how, but I saw it happen. 3 Ravagers falling from a single shot, 5 from another shot. Another Krathan warrior added. They did not fight like soldiers, General. They fought like hunters, like predators. Vextar turned his full attention to Hyunwoo and Jiwon. Is this true? We completed our mission, Hyunwoo replied evenly. The methods are irrelevant. Methods are never irrelevant in war. Then yes, General. We engaged the Ravagers using techniques suited to their weaknesses. We were successful. Jiwon held up a data chip. Our primary objective was intelligence gathering. This chip contains complete scans of the Ravager nest, including structural weaknesses and potential attack vectors. That is what matters. Vextar took the chip, studying it. He was a warrior, but he was also a commander. He understood that intelligence won wars as surely as courage did. Very well, he said finally. You have completed your mission. Return to your quarters. We will analyze this data and plan our next operation. As the crowd dispersed, Hyunwoo and Jiwon walked back toward their quarters. Around them, alien soldiers watched with new expressions. The mockery was gone. In its place was curiosity, confusion, and in some cases fear. A group of Chitauri soldiers stepped into their path. These insectoid warriors were smaller than Krathan but faster, with razor-sharp limbs and compound eyes that saw in multiple spectrums. Humans, their leader clicked in the common language. We wish to ask questions. We are tired, Jiwon replied. Perhaps another time, please. We only wish to understand. How did you kill so many Ravagers? What weapons did you use? Hyunwoo could have walked past them, but something in the Chitauri's tone caught his attention. It was not challenging or mocking. It was genuinely curious. Standard weapons, he said. Rifle, sidearm, combat knife. Nothing special. Then how? Another Chitauri pressed. We have fought Ravagers many times. They are fast and resilient. Killing one requires sustained firepower or overwhelming numbers. You fight them as individuals, Jiwon explained. You target one Ravager at a time until it dies, then move to the next. That is inefficient. What is the efficient method? You treat the swarm as a system. You identify the patterns. You strike at points that create cascading failures. One bullet that ricochets through critical components on multiple units is worth more than 10 bullets that only damage 1 unit each. The Chitauri's antennae twitched, processing this information. This requires calculations. Angles, trajectories, material densities. Yes. You perform these calculations in combat? While under attack? We were trained to. The Chitauri exchanged looks with each other. their compound eyes reflecting the camp's lights. Finally, their leader spoke again. You are not like other species. You approach war differently. Every species approaches war differently, Hyunwoo said. No, most species fight with courage, honor, strength. These are qualities we understand. But you two fight with something else. Something colder. More calculated. Efficiency, Ji-won supplied. Is that what you call it? The Chitauri's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. We have another word for it in our language. We call it predation. Before either human could respond, the Chitauri moved away, leaving Hyunwoo and Ji-won alone. They are afraid, Ji-won observed quietly. Yes. Good or bad? Neither. Just different. We came to prove humans are not cowards. We succeeded. They reached their quarters and found Ambassador Tae-young waiting outside. He had arrived on Threshold 7 that afternoon, sent by Earth Command to observe the mission's progress. Ambassador, Hyunwoo greeted him. I heard about your reconnaissance mission, Tae-young said. The entire camp is talking about it. General Vextar is in his command center reviewing your data. Is there a problem? Ji-won asked. The opposite. Vextar is impressed, though he would never admit it publicly. But there is a new development. He wants to launch a full assault on the Ravager nest you discovered. When? Tomorrow morning. 3,000 troops, multiple species coordinating their forces. It is the largest operation they have attempted since arriving here. Hyunwoo frowned. That nest contained at least 20,000 Ravagers. 3,000 troops will not be enough. I told them that. They did not listen. They believe their numbers and firepower will overwhelm the enemy. They are wrong, Ji-won said flatly. The Ravagers have defensive advantages. They know the terrain. They have the Queen coordinating their tactics. A frontal assault will result in massive casualties, I know. But the generals have made their decision, and they want you two to participate. In what capacity? Tae-young smiled slightly, though there was no humor in it. General Vextar has assigned you to the vanguard, the front lines. He says if Earth's warriors are truly as effective as the Krathen claim, you will prove it during the main assault. He is testing us again, Hyunwoo said. Yes. But more than that, I think he hopes you will fail, or die. If you succeed, it undermines his authority. It proves that his species' approach to warfare is not the only valid one. And if we refuse the assignment, then Earth is branded as cowards after all. Everything we accomplished today becomes meaningless. Ji-won looked at Hyunwoo. They did not need to speak. Years of working together had created a silent communication between them. We accept, Hyunwoo told the ambassador, but we will not fight the way they expect. What do you mean? The generals plan a frontal assault. That is suicide. We will do something different. What? We will kill the Queen. Tae-young's eyes widened. That is impossible. The Queen will be in the center of the nest, surrounded by thousands of Ravagers. You will never reach her. We will, Ji-won said with quiet certainty. While 3,000 soldiers attack from the front, we will infiltrate from another direction. We reach the Queen, we kill her, and the entire nest loses coordination. The swarm becomes disorganized. The main assault succeeds with minimal casualties. You are talking about a 2-person infiltration mission into the heart of a Ravager nest containing 20,000 hostiles. Yes, you will die. Probably not, Hyunwoo said. We have done similar missions before. Different enemy, same principle. Tae-young studied their faces. He saw no bravado, no false confidence. Just calm assessment of the situation and determination to complete the mission. I cannot order you to do this, he said finally. It is beyond the scope of what was requested. You do not need to order us, Ji-won replied. We volunteer. It is the only way to ensure the assault succeeds. When will you inform General Vextar of your plan? We will not. He would forbid it, or worse, he would send troops with us and ruin the infiltration. We will simply disappear during the battle. By the time he realizes what here.